Linear A is one of two currently undeciphered writing systems used in ancient Greece. Linear A was the primary script used in palace and religious writings of the Minoan civilization. It was discovered by archaeologist Sir Arthur Evans. It is the origin of the Linear B script, which was later used by the Mycenaean civilization. In the 1950s, Linear B was largely deciphered and found to encode an early form of Greek. Although the two systems share many symbols, this did not lead to a subsequent decipherment of Linear A. Using the values associated with Linear B, and Linear A mainly produces unintelligible words. If it uses the same or similar syllabic values as Linear B, then its underlying language appears unrelated to any known language. This has been dubbed the Minoan language. Script. Linear A has hundreds of signs. They are believed to represent syllabic, ideographic, and semantic values in a manner similar to Linear B. While many of those assumed to be syllabic signs are similar to ones in Linear B, approximately 80% of Linear A's logograms are unique. The difference in sound values between Linear A and Linear B signs ranges from 9% to 13%. It primarily appears in the left-to-right direction, but occasionally appears as a right-to-left or bistrophedan script. An interesting feature is that of how numbers are recorded in the script. The highest number that has been recorded is 3000, but there are special symbols to indicate fractions and weights. Corpus. Linear A has been unearthed chiefly on Crete, but also at other sites in Greece, as well as Turkey and Israel. The extant corpus, comprising some 1427 specimens totaling 7362-7396 signs, if scaled to standard type, would fit on a single sheet of paper. Crete. According to Ilso-Sherp, the main discoveries of Linear A tablets have been at three sites on Crete: Hagia Triada in the Messara with 147 tablets, Zakros, a port town in the far east of the island with 31 tablets, and Hania, a port town in the northwest of the island with 94 tablets. Discoveries have been made at the following locations on Crete: Apoudalu, Arcanes, Arkaluchuri, Armenoi, Hania, Gornia, Hagia Triada, Kardamatha, Katosimi, Knossos, Kofinas, Lorani, Malie, Mochlos, Mount Jutish, Myrtos Pyrgos, Neropouru, Palikastra, Petras, Petsophes, Phaistos, Platanos, Poros, Heraklion, Prasa, Psaira, Psychro, Pyrgos Tilissos, Sisha, Skinias, Scotino Cave, Trostalis, Trulos, Brycinas, Zakros. Outside of Crete prior to 1973, only one Linear A tablet was known to be found outside of Crete. Since then, other locations yielded inscriptions. According to Finkelberg, most, if not all, inscriptions found outside of Crete were made locally. This is indicated by such factors as the composition of the material on which the inscriptions were made. Also, close analysis of the inscriptions found outside of Crete indicates the use of a script that is somewhere in between Linear A and Linear B, combining the elements of both. Other Greek islands: Kia, Kythera, Melos, Samothrace, Thera, mainland Greece: Mycenae, Tiryns, Hyas Stephanos, Laconia, Bulgaria, Eastern Rhodopes Mountains, Turkey: Miletus, Israel: Tel Hara, Tel Lachish. Chronology. Linear A was a contemporary and possible child of Cretan hieroglyphs and the ancestor of Linear B. The sequence and the geographical spread of Cretan hieroglyphs, Linear A and Linear B, the three overlapping but distinct writing systems on Bronze Age Crete and the Greek mainland, can be summarized as follows. Discovery. Archaeologist Arthur Evans named the script Linear because its characters consisted simply of lines inscribed in clay, in contrast to the more pictographic and three-dimensional characters in Cretan hieroglyphs that were used during the same period. Several tablets inscribed in signs similar to Linear A were found in the Troad, While their status is disputed, they may be imports, as there is no evidence of Minoan presence in the Trode. Classification of these signs as a unique Trojan script is not accepted by other linguists. Theories of decipherment. It is difficult to evaluate a given analysis of linear A as there is little point of reference for reading its inscriptions. The simplest approach to decipherment may be to presume that the values of linear A match more or less the values given to the deciphered linear B script, used for Mycenaean Greek. In 1957, Bulgarian scholar Vladimir I. Georgiev published his Le Decipherment des inscriptions Cratices en linéaire, stating that linear A contains Greek linguistic elements. Georgiev then published another work in 1963 titled Les deux langues des inscriptions Cratices en linéaire, suggesting that the language of the higher triad tablets was Greek but that the rest of the linear A corpus was in Hittite Luwin. In December 1963, Gregory Nagy of Harvard University developed a list of linear A and linear B terms based on the assumption that signs of identical or similar shape in the two scripts will represent similar or identical phonetic values. Nagy concluded that the language of linear A bears Greek-like and Indo-European elements. Distinct Indo-European branch. According to Dr. Gareth Allen Owens, linear A represents the Minoan language, which Owens classifies as a distinct branch of Indo-European potentially related to Greek, Sanskrit, Hittite, Latin, etc. At the Cretan Literature Center, Dr. Owens stated, "Beginning our research with inscriptions in linear A carved on offering tables found in the many peak sanctuaries on the mountains of Crete, we recognize a clear relationship between linear A and Sanskrit, the ancient language of India. There is also a connection to Hittite and Armenian. This relationship allows us to place the Minoan language among the so-called Indo-European languages, a vast family that includes modern Greek and the Latin of ancient Rome. The Minoan and Greek languages are considered to be different branches of Indo-European. The Minoans probably moved from Anatolia to the island of Crete about 10,000 years ago. There were similar population movements to Greece. The relative isolation of the population which settled in Crete resulted in the development of its own language, Minoan, which is considered different to Mycenaean. In the Minoan language, there are no purely Greek words, as is the case in Mycenaean linear B. It contains only words also found in Greek, Sanskrit and Latin, i.e., sharing the same Indo-European origin, Luwin since the late 1950s. A theory based on linear B phonetic values suggests that linear A language could be an Anatolian language, close to Luwin. The theory for the Luwin origin of Minoan, however, failed to gain universal support for the following reasons. There is no remarkable resemblance between Minoan and Hitto-Luwin morphology. None of the existing theories of the origin of Hitto-Luwin peoples and their migration to Anatolia are related to Crete. There was a lack of direct contact between Hitto-Luwins and Minoan Crete. The latter was never mentioned in Hitto-Luwin inscriptions. Small states located along the western coast of ancient Asia Minor were natural barriers between Hitto-Luwins and Minoan Crete. Obvious anthropological differences between Hitto-Luwins and the Minoans may be considered as another indirect testimony against this hypothesis. There are most recent works focused on the Luwin connection, but not in terms of the Minoan language being Anatolian, but rather of possible borrowings from Luwin, including the origin of the writing Phoenician. In 2001, the journal Agrarforschungen, Band 32 published the article, The First Inscription in Punic, Vowel Differences in Linear A and B, by Jan Best, claiming to demonstrate how and why linear A notates an archaic form of Phoenician. This was a continuation of attempts by Cyrus Gordon in finding connections between Minoan and West Semitic languages. Indo-Iranian. Another recent interpretation, based on the frequencies of the syllabic signs and on complete paleographic comparative studies, suggests that the Minoan Linear A language belongs to the Indo-Iranian family of Indo-European languages. Studies by Hubert Lamarl include a presentation of the morphology of the language, avoid the complete identification of phonetic values between Linear A and B, and also avoid comparing Linear A with Cretan hieroglyphs. Lamarl uses the frequency counts to identify the type of syllables written in Linear A, and takes into account the problem of loan words in the vocabulary. However, the Lamarl interpretation of Linear A has been rejected by John Younger of Kansas University, showing that Lamarl has invented erroneous and arbitrary new transcriptions based on resemblances with many different script systems at will, ignoring established evidence and internal analysis, while for some words he proposes religious meanings, inventing names of gods and rites. Lamarl rebutted in an answer to John G. Younger's remarks on Linear A in 2010. Tyrrhenian Italian scholar Giulio M. Facchetti attempted to link Linear A to the Tyrrhenian language family comprising Etruscan, Rhaetic, and Lemnian. This family is reasoned to be a pre-Indo-European Mediterranean substratum of the 2nd millennium BCE, sometimes referred to as pre-Greek. Facchetti proposed some possible similarities between the Etruscan language and ancient Lemnian, and other Aegean languages like Minoan. Michael Ventris, who, along with John Chadwick, successfully deciphered Linear B, also believed in a link between Minoan and Etruscan. The same perspective is supported by S. Yatsemirsky in Russia. Single-word decipherment attempts. Some researchers suggest that a few words or word elements may be recognized, without enabling any conclusion about relationship with other languages. In general, they use analogy with Linear B in order to propose phonetic values of the syllabic sounds. John Younger, in particular, thinks that place names usually appear in certain positions in the texts, and notes that the proposed phonetic values often correspond to known place names as given in Linear B texts. For example, he proposes that 3 syllables, read as k, ni, so, might be the indigenous form of Knossos. Likewise, in Linear A, ma plus ru is suggested to mean wool, and to correspond both to a Linear B pictogram with this meaning, and to the classical Greek word mu alpha lambda lambda omicron sigma with the same meaning. Unicode. The Linear A alphabet was added to the Unicode standard in June 2014 with the release of version 7.0.